to Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority Board of Directors meeting. It's Monday, June 13th at 4 o'clock. We're in the Carson City Community Center in the Bob Kroll Boardroom. Linda, could I get a roll call?
Yes, Mike Jones,
Here.
Stacy Giomi, Steve Reynolds. We have a quorum.
Oh, I see.
Steve Kim is now here as well.
Okay.
And Steve Kim. We have a quorum.
Here.
All right. If I could ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This time, I don't see any public comment, but I'll ask for any public comment. Seeing none, we'll move on to item 5 for possible action and approval of the minutes of not only the May 9th, 2022 CTA board meeting, but also the May 23rd, 2022 and the fiscal year budget hearing. Does anyone see any corrections or changes that need to be made on either minutes? Hearing none, if I could get a motion.
Move for approval.
A second?
I'm reluctant to second since I wasn't at the May second meeting, so
All in favor?
that was not a second.
No, that's not a
I
second.
said I'm reluctant to second because I was not in attendance at the May 9th
Okay.
meeting.
I'll second. Thank you, Stacy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Would any member of the board like any individual item pulled for individual discussion? Hearing none, there's no public, so I'll assume if I could get a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda consisting of item 6 and item 7 as presented.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. That'll take us to item 9 for possible action, discussion and possible action regarding the proposed resolutions to augment the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget. I know, Chris, you're going to give a brief staff summary of it, but we made more money than we thought we would.
Okay, Chris Kipp for the record. These are the 3 funds that we have: the general fund, the capital projects fund, and the V&T fund. We are going to augment them this year because we're bringing in more revenue than what we had budgeted. So I'm just going to go through these really quickly, and then if you guys have questions at the end, let me know. So the first one, which will be page 2 of the agenda report, is for the general fund. At the beginning of fiscal year 22, which was July 21st of 21, we budgeted to be $3,321,254, whereas the total available resources are now determined to be $4,012,582, with an additional unanticipated resources of $691,328. And then I'll go through those on the next pages. So on page 3 of 16, the projected room taxes are projected to be about $400,000 more than what we projected back in March of 21 for budget year 22. The next one down is intergovernmental revenue. That's our grants that we get from NCOT. And that's, we got an additional $7,500, thanks to Lydia doing a good job on grant writing. The miscellaneous, we're reducing the $15,000 that we originally budgeted because that was revenue we were budgeting for the visitor center store. With the COVID not making up its mind what it's doing, we just opted to not open a store, so there's no revenue there. The investment income, we adjusted the percentages of the income. All the money comes into our our funds, and we adjusted them to reflect the beginning balances of fiscal '22. So we have a little bit more in the general fund and a little bit less in each of the capital projects in the V&T fund. And then the transfer in, that's the transfer that comes from the V&T capital, the additional revenue we're planning on having come in. That's the percentage of the transfer for the marketing of to an inherently advantage for the train. So the next page shows down towards the bottom, the beginning fund balance. We started the beginning of fiscal '22 with $180,461 more than we had budgeted. So that all those items are additional revenue of $691,328, and that's what we're augmenting the general fund for. The next page, page 5, this shows any changes we're making to expenditures. The general government, which is like the admin side, we're not changing anything there. The culture and rec, the only change we have is services and supplies. We reduced the expenditures by $102,000. Most of those reductions are in expenses due to like events, conferences, and projects that didn't happen in this last fiscal year. And then the intergovernmental expense, of course, when the revenue goes up, because all of our intergovernmental expenses are based on percentages, we've increased the expenses for that. Any questions on the general fund? Nope, okay. The next one is Capital Projects Fund on page 7. It's budgeted at $592,664 on July 1st, 2021, whereas the total available resources now determined to be $731,437, which is an additional unanticipated resource of $138,773. Page 8 shows the changes for revenue. The room taxes, that's the increase of $114,459 projected. And then the entrance income, this is where we adjusted the percentages according to the bank balances. So we just brought it down 1,080. And then on page 9, we started the fiscal year $25,394 more than what we had budgeted. So those total the additional revenue of $138,773. There's page 10, there's no change to the intergovernmental expense here because it's a bond payment, so it's just a set payment and set dollar amount. That's it for capital projects. Any questions on that one? Okay, we're going to go to V&T Capital on page 12. We start at $707,839 on July 1st, 2021. Whereas the total available resources are now determined to be $885,181 with additional unanticipated resources of $177,342. On page 13, that shows the additional room taxes of $114,449 and the reduction of the interest income of $2,160 there. Page 14 is the beginning fund balance. We were over $65,043 in additional, the starting balance. Budgeted versus actual. So a total of $177,342 in available resources. On page 15, intergovernmental expenses, this is also a set amount for each fiscal year, and so there's no change in that payment as well. And then on the last page, 16, the operating transfers, that's the money we transfer to marketing to inherently benefit the train. That's that $114,449. Any questions?
Questions from the board? No, pretty straightforward. Thank you, Chris. With that, if I can get a motion to approve the augmentation.
Move to approve the augmentation of the budget.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. I would like to bring to the record's attention that Bobby Rader, Board Member Rader, has now joined the meeting. Welcome, Bobby. On to item 10, discussion on possible action regarding purchase authority for David Peterson, Executive Director, to enter into a new 5-year lease agreement for printing equipment not to exceed $99,900. David, do you want to walk us through that?
Sure, Chair. Thank you. For the record, David Peterson, Executive Director with Visit Carson City. So as you are all aware, our current Konica Minolta lease expires on June 30th. And so I've been working with Todd to review several different documents from a couple of different companies as we're trying to negotiate some pricing through the NASPO agreement to get a new lease in place for a new machine that will be a Canon machine replacing the Konica Minolta. And so it's kind of a timing thing. I'm hoping to get some feedback from the changes that have been requested by Todd Reese, our DA, back to the respective companies. And we'd like to hopefully minimize being down without a copier, scanner, printer in the back, maybe to the middle of July at this point, if we can get this thing wrapped up this week. So it's going to be a smaller printer that will serve our specific Visit Carson City needs, and we'll still be able to do posters and sort of the one-sheeters and flyers for our partners when they have special events coming up in the future. But as you can see, it's a pretty significant reduction in the per month cost that we're anticipating with this new lease agreement moving forward. So I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have. And Chris is there too, if you're having a hard time hearing me. She's much more versed with the printer. She's been helping me get this process as far along as we are right now.
Questions from the board? David, how will the demand for printing during the down period, or are we just going to recommend go to local vendors?
That is the plan, yes.
Okay. No questions. I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I move to approve the purchase authority as presented and authorize the executive director to enter into agreement for an amount not to exceed $99,900.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. With that, we'll move on to item 11, non-action items for presentation and discussion only, presented by David Peterson. David, you want to start with the executive director's update?
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do 11A. Just have one thing, and I'm very excited. This is great work that Lydia did to put together our first cycle fiscal 23 Nevada Commission on Tourism grant request. We received 100% of the $41,250 that we requested. Included in this request is a fall and winter photo and video shoot for our new advertising campaign. We also have streaming TV, so over the top OTT services included in that, a fall Travel Nevada Expedia co-op, and a domestic advertising co-op with hotel beds that'll be targeting travel agents. So I'm very excited that we received that funding at 100%, and that's my one update for the board this month. Any questions about the grant?
Congratulations, Lydia.
Yeah, she did a great job. Yeah, this grant and another one from Boulder City were actually being used as models, I guess, for their program moving forward. So exciting stuff. With that, I will go ahead and move on to 11B, the transient occupancy tax actual versus forecast. So that's your big 11x17 paper in your board packet. You will see that April, we came in about 19,000 ahead of our projection that we put forward last month. I did go ahead with Chris. We made some adjustments to increase May and June just based on feedback from properties as well as some preliminary collections that have come in for the month of May. So at this point, our projection for fiscal 22 is just over 26.7 million, as you'll see in that far right-hand column. So any questions about the occupancy tax report?
So yeah, just, I mean, looking at that, that's like a full 6 million over fiscal 19,
Yeah,
which is, it's mind-boggling.
incredible. It is. Stacy, I can't figure it out. Every time we project, we beat the number. We reprojected higher, we beat the number. Driven by obviously the room demand, but ADR is through the roof on a property level. And we're actually, Chris and I are working on some reporting around ADR and RevPAR, and hopefully we'll have some new reporting to be able to track that information moving forward. But yeah, the ADR has just been exceptional.
What percentage would you say ADR is up against 19? I mean, if you just had to hazard a guess.
Oh, I would say 20 something percent. Just off the top of my head without having the data
Yeah.
in front of me. But and Chris jump in if I way off there with that. Yeah, it's up significantly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. Excellent question. Are there any other questions from the board? Okay. With that, I'm going to move on to 11C, events and sales update. So we are without Stu today, so I am going to do the events and sales update, and I just need the ability to share my screen, please, if I can. Okay, can everybody see the presentation? Wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, great. I'll go ahead and advance the slide. Are you able to see that presentation outline? Forgive me, there's a little lag here for me. So you should be seeing in front of you the presentation outline. So
We
I'm going
see
to
it,
chat
David.
through oh, great. Thank you, Chair. The Battleborn Blades event, the Stetnus Pay Dirt, the American Grappling, was the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu event that we had. Those three were in May. Cover a little bit about IPW, which is where Stu was last week. And then I'll talk about Sacramento Bike Hikers, and then the California, it should say, I think, Rugby League. I thought it was rugby. So forgive me there. So Battleborn Blades, this was great. Stu and I were out there. If you all remember, it's a historic sword fighting tournament, and it was men and women from all around the country who came here to compete with these different weapons, rapiers, long swords, basket hilt broadswords, and they've officially become an international event with some Canadians that came to Carson City to compete in the event. I mentioned before, they're still looking at bringing a women's only event here for Labor Day weekend. Something like this does not exist right now, at least in North America. And that's something we're excited about. We're looking to work with those folks, and then Parks and Rec were great to open up the Fuji Park kind of as a interim location for this particular event. So I think the feedback from the people that I talked to, most of them had actually never been to Carson City. So we had a lot of first-time visitors, which I think was wonderful for us with this new event. So now that's a little bit on Battleborn Blades. Oh, there we go. That was a little bit of video before the actual tournament began. Hopefully you were all able to see and hear that. This is some of the swords here. Okay, so Stetna happened, you guys. It was, I think, a wonderful event. I'm gonna, something's happening here. Get into some of the statistics here. Sorry, something's happening with my computer. It's kicking me out. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. 475 official people rode in the race, and if you recall, I think we had a cap there of 499 people before a permit was going to be necessary with another entity. I think we've got a great opportunity, guys. The riders love the course. The Stetna team and the participants loved Fuji Park for the opening and the closing of the race. It's a perfect location. We're excited. They're excited. They want to see this event continue for many years to come. And so my expectation is Carlos is doing a post-event survey follow-up, and we'll get Carlos and team to come back in front of the board to talk through the numbers of the success of the event this past month, and then we'll talk about a new sponsorship agreement. So with that, I'm going to advance, and I think this video hopefully will play. Or not. Well, there was a lovely video there. You have to forgive me because I'm not an expert with how to do this through the WebEx. But these are some of the results that you can kind of see. I won't, bore everybody with all the details, but you can kind of see the breakdown in terms of preliminary statistics. Just the individual rider versus 2 people, 4 people, 5 people in a party. So I think the cool thing is there were multiple people attending, or at least as a part of the travel party. But what I was excited to see as well, almost 87% of the people, this is their first time to Carson City. So again, we're exposing Carson City to new people. And then here's the overnight stay, just under 92% hotel motel, a little over 8% were a private home. And obviously we're going to have a deeper dive on that with the post-event survey that's currently out there with the participants and the sponsors and the different exhibitors as well. This was our wonderful first time we've ever had the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Championships event here in Carson City. And there were a couple hundred people that were in this wonderful space that we have at the MAC. And so it was great to see how this event was set up. We had a lot of locals too that came out between Reno, Carson City, and Douglas County. But I have to say, Parks Rec, we're very pleased with how the team came in and set up the MAC in like a couple of hours on Friday night, and then it was all torn down, on Sunday. And they really had this dialed in quite nicely. So we're actually hoping to bring back this group, we think maybe in October, and then there's some interest in doing a third event. We're hoping February, but January or February as well. So I think we've got a great opportunity forthcoming there. And I think there's a little video here. So let me try this one, see if this works. So I wish. So as you can see, it was pretty cool event. And again, we're looking forward to hopefully bringing back a second and a third event with this particular event promoter. IPW. So this is where Stu was last week, largest inbound tour operator show in the U.S. I want to say it was plus or minus 6,000 people. You see, you've got buyers, suppliers, you have media. Stu took 42, I think he said 42, maybe 44 appointments, which was fantastic for us. I will tell you some of the feedback that we had. These were folks from Mexico, Canada, France, UK, Switzerland. They were 15-minute appointments. So we had tour operators, some from the Go West show, so there was great follow-up, some from the RTT Mexican sales mission that I was on. They had client dinners, and the beauty of it, and I want to give a nice shout out to Travel Nevada. We were in the Nevada Pavilion, so the Travel Nevada Pavilion located right next to the Reno Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority, and we were directly across from the Elko Convention and Visitors Authority, who was next to Travel Nevada. So the six of us were in a booth, and Stu said, I wish I'll show pictures next month. Stu will have a full recap next month so you can see the pictures. The booth was awesome. I think it looked really cool. And Lydia had a great hand in that and getting all the stuff for the clings and all the cabinetry and all of that over in the design. It was very nicely done. So the other cool thing that I'll mention is IPW brought back a virtual appointment option. And so that was 16 additional appointments that had a more difficult time, basically could not get to the US to be in Orlando. And so that was a nice extra bonus, I would say, for us as well. The really cool things that popped for these folks, rail bikes and the Stewart Indian School Cultural Center and Museum. Those two things really percolated up to the top as far as the questions that were being asked by the different buyers, the different tour operators. So exciting stuff from IPW. Stu, I know it was an exhausting conference for him, but he did a great job, and obviously I'll let him kind of fill in all the blanks next month. This is a really cool group. So Sacramento Bike Hikers. Stu has been in contact with these folks. The club is looking to have their bike hike in Carson City this October. It's a private club with members only participating in the hike, and they'll have 30 to 40 bikers or hikers, along with family members coming to Carson City. And I'm just looking at Stu's notes here. The club will have a happy hour at a local restaurant or a hotel for the club. And we think we've got some opportunity here to turn this into an annual event. So these folks are really excited about Carson City. They really like what has been done with our trail system, paved and our single track trails. And they're excited about coming to Carson City. So I think this is a great opportunity for us. California Rugby, not Ruby League, 2023. So this is something that Stu's been working on as well. This would be a one-game tournament, possibly between the US and Canada. 25 players on each team, along with their families, would stay in Carson City. As you probably all know, I mean, this is super popular in California. It's popular in Salt Lake City. It's popular in Vegas as well, rugby. And the owners are actually going to be coming to Carson City for a tour of the city and then a facilities tour as well to see if we can actually physically host a rugby tournament here. And they're talking about something about a training facility possibly being built in Eastern Nevada. So I was just getting a little bit of this from Stu while he was in Orlando last week, but it sounds like they want to eventually have tournaments on a yearly basis in Northern Nevada. So some exciting stuff coming with this California Rugby League. And I think there's a video here. Let me try this. There we go.
Blood, sweat, and tears comes down to this final 12 minutes. Absolutely, it's off and restarts the play. It's the only field that he's got great footwork and plays it to his winger. Moves out from space. It's huge. Are you kidding me? That's all. That's what I'm talking. That was California Rugby League one play. They spin up line, most of kick off.
So that looked like it hurt. So I'll be watching that from the sidelines because my shoulders aren't broad enough to absorb a hit like that. But that's events and sales update. I hope you guys appreciate that we're really working here hard to bring some different types of sport to Carson City with these different events and groups. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have. Great. Okay. With that, Lydia, I'm gonna stop or sharing here. Hopefully this will work. With that, I'm gonna go ahead and move us along to 11D, Arts and Culture Update. So Deborah, I'm gonna let you take it away there in the room.
Thank you, Deborah Soul here for the record. So my update today for arts and culture, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Great Western Steam Up event, the public art policy, status of the environmental art demonstration project and Art on the Trails, Mark Twain Days Festival, and arts and culture sponsorships. So as you're aware, we're getting much closer to this Great Western Steam Up event taking place on the 4th of July. As of last week, 1,600, actually not 15, 1,600 tickets have been sold. Many of these are out-of-town visitors who will be coming here to Carson City. So during the event, in addition to the visiting locomotives and cars, there will be music and entertainment. There will be food and merchandise vendors at the event, antique steam-powered vehicle demonstrations, and also lost arts demonstrations. Lost arts being those sorts of crafts and maker activities that we don't see these days, things such as blacksmithing. And so it should be a really interesting cultural event all around, taking place on the long weekend. The cultural maps have now been, at least the database for the cultural maps have been completed. The database is being converted into a map by a GIS specialist from Michael Baker International, the consultants who work with Carson City on the creation of GIS material, and will then be embedded into the Visit Carson City website and made available to the city for their website as well. So the database actually has over 300 entries in it under 6 different categories, including cultural organizations, cultural facilities, cultural heritage properties, trails, sites, and monuments, heritage events, creative economy businesses, annual arts and cultural events, and also public art. I also wanted to bring you updated with the public art policy. There's been many hours put into that draft policy, both by myself and by other city staff from various departments. And it includes those departments who will be playing a role in the acquisition, installation, and maintenance of the public art. And this policy will be going forward to the Cultural Commission, I believe at tonight's meeting. And hopefully everything will move through and we will have the opportunity to see the Board of Supervisors consider adopting that policy, which will be an important step in moving forward with some of the major public art projects that we are anticipating here in Carson City.
Can I just add that when we approved, the city approved our final budget, we approved that position in Parks and Rec. So that position has been approved and is funded. And when we hit the new fiscal year, July 1st, we'll start recruiting. So we'll have a dyad partnership there available between the city and the CTA.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Stacy. That's wonderful. We really appreciate that.
Well, it
Um,
wasn't just me, it was the whole board. But you're quite welcome.
Yes, no, I was giving full credit to the whole board.
Yes, absolutely. So the environmental art demonstration project that was undertaken as a prelude to the Arts on the Trail event planned for this fall has unfortunately taken a unfortunate turn. The artwork was destroyed a few weeks ago, and the sign explaining the nature of the project was pulled out and stolen. So this has led me to reconsider whether and how we should undertake this kind of a project, and if we should include environmental art in the Art on the Trails event, or if it should be a completely separate venture that could potentially take place maybe in a more visible location. That might make it a little bit more successful. I am, however, continuing to plan the first outdoor art experience on the trail, and that is progressing. Art stations will be situated along the trails to provide an opportunity for visitors and residents to try out and enjoy a range of arts or culture activities. At this point, we're looking at plein air painting, gourd art, and I'm also inviting and hoping that we can have some basket weavers and Native American jewelry making sessions take place on the trail where those natural materials can be acquired. So I think that would be an excellent addition to it. The Mark Twain Days Festival, the planning for that is continuing. The event planning committee has been meeting on a regular basis, and a preliminary schedule of festival events has been created. Some of the events that are being planned are the Twain Train traveling between Carson City and Virginia City on the V&T rail, featuring Mark Twain cocktails, his favorite cocktails. A Mark Twain and his wife Olivia lookalike contest, which will be a runway event, hopefully judged by the VIP ticket holders. A period-appropriate gala ball, that's something that we're looking at to see if that's viable. It could be costumed, it could be linked to activities prior to the festival where there could actually be ballroom dancing lessons, and there could be prizes for the best dancers, the best costumes. So we're looking at that now and trying to determine whether that's going to be a feasible activity for this first year's festival. There's also a Twain Path tour that's going to be led by Mary Bennett, featuring the places that Samuel Clemens frequented in Carson City and the stories behind them. There's a range of literary activities being planned for the festival. A Mark Twain headliner performance featuring McAvoy, and an era-appropriate number of vendors and performances that we're hoping that we can also bring into the event for the weekend. A festival logo has been created, and working teams are organizing now on marketing and planning each of the activities. There's a Facebook page that has gone up now for the festival, and there's a site on the Visit Carson City website for Mark Twain Days. So we should be able to start communicating more fully with the community about what's happening and when and what sorts of progress we're making. Excuse me. And finally, the RAC grants. I just wanted to overview that excuse me, that I've overseen the Arts and Cultural Redevelopment Grant process for the 2023 fiscal year, collated the applications, and prepared the evaluation sheets that will be utilized at the Cultural Commission meeting taking place tonight. And that is my update. Any questions?
Questions for Deborah? And maybe this is for David too, but has the Steam Up folks, the organizers, have they reforecasted Is there any forecast on attendance? Are we expecting a rush the last couple weeks?
Yeah, Deborah, you can maybe add to it, but yeah, for the record, Dave Peterson. Yeah, I think we expect to see a lot of tickets sold probably from about the middle of the month through the weekend with a lot of walk-up business. So I don't think we're going to hit 8,000 total tickets sold, but I think it's realistic and, please, Deborah or Lydia, step in. I think we could see 4,000 tickets sold. I'd like to think, by the time all is said and done. So, but we have a lot of the bulk. There's a lot of print advertising that's been out. And Lydia, if I'm incorrect, you please correct me. But for the past couple of months, but we're going to have billboards go up as you're coming into the Reno Tahoe area. Basically, I think starting maybe next week.
They're already up.
Oh, they're okay. So they're already up, and then okay, thank you. And then a pretty heavy push, from the 20th through the actual 4th of July weekend as well. So I think we want to reach a lot of the folks that might be visiting our partners in the Reno Sparks area as well as the Lake Tahoe basin, and hopefully encourage those folks to come down and engage with this event. 1 or 2 days, and hopefully it will give folks an option on the 4th of July on that Monday. They can still go back to Reno or still go back to Lake Tahoe to watch fireworks, but hopefully draw those folks down on Monday the 4th. So I think, maybe we'll do about half of what their capacity was, which was 2,000 tickets max per day that they could sell. So, and how that breaks down, and I think Deborah made mention that they were up to 1,600 tickets, and so when we put the presentation deck together, they were 1,500. When I talked to Todd, they were up another 100, and forgive me for not having an update for all of you today, but I think it was a matter of like 2 days they had sold another 100 tickets to get to that 1,600 number last week. So it's possible, by today, maybe they're at 1,900 tickets sold. So I think the sales will continue to ramp up every day right through the weekend.
Thank you. Steve?
Sorry.
Yeah, David, any feeling or has anyone researched where the ticket sales so far are coming from?
Yeah, it's like 80-something% are from outside the area. So in other words, sort of the Reno, Lake Tahoe, Carson City, most of these tickets are all outside the area, which I think is great. And I think that might shift, Member Reynolds, that might shift a little bit as the marketing, kind of hones in more on a local level as we get closer to the event. I think that percentage, obviously that might go down a little bit, but they've got sales East Coast all the way to the West Coast and everywhere in between. And I think we have people coming from Europe as well, and maybe even Canada, if I'm not mistaken, from the last run of ZIP and postal code analysis. I'm sorry, Member Reynolds, did that answer your question?
Yeah, yes, you did. Let me, is this looked at as a first year, and wherever ticket sales are is pretty much fine, and they'd go ahead and do it next year also? I mean, there's a lot of challenges this year.
Yeah, so this is the 150th anniversary. It's a celebration literally to the day. 4th of July weekend, 150 years ago, is when the V&T Railroad extended from Carson City, Virginia City to Reno. So it's kind of I've been using the word like a generational event that's taking place this year. But in talking with the Friends of the Nevada State Railroad Museum and then the Railroad Museum staff, the idea of maybe doing a festival of some sort, maybe every 3 to 5 years, is something that they're interested in looking at, realizing that this is a very unique year because we're celebrating, 150 years with the extension from Carson City, Virginia City to Reno. So it's kind of a unique this year one-off, right, event. I suppose the next time we would have something like this might be 175th anniversary or a 200, anniversary. But they are interested in maybe bringing a railroad festival to Carson City, but that might be every 3 or 5 years, something along those lines, because there's a lot of investment that's been put into this event. One thing that I appreciate is we're a small investor, right, in the event at our $10,000 sponsorship. I think there's almost $100,000 that's been put toward this event through the Division of Museums and History Trust. And then Travel Nevada has put a significant amount of money toward the event as well through the advertising efforts. So we're all kind of partnering. Lydia's working with their event promoter and the Travel Nevada team and the Railroad Museum and the Friends of. So it's a pretty cool collaboration and partnership. And then they're working on securing some sponsorships with the Nevada Mining Association, with Union Pacific as well. So it's taking a lot of effort and energy and funding to pull this event off. But I can't say it's going to be an annual event, but maybe something similar every 3 to 5 years, perhaps.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Thank you. And forgive me if I cut somebody off with somebody asking a question. Okay, great. Well, with that, let's go ahead and move on, Chair, if you don't mind, to 11E, Marketing and Public Relations Update. So Lydia, take it away.
I'm happy to. Right, give me 1 second.
Okay. I don't need to give you the permission or anything, right? You can share your screen.
No, I think I'm good.
Okay.
I'm gonna make sure I have the correct slide up here. Okay, and you guys are all seeing my presentation?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. All right, so we have not a lot of points, but some important ones to go through today. So I just have a quick update on the May PR report, and then we will go through both media plans for arts and culture and then our regular domestic advertising. And then I will walk you through our new campaign print and digital ads, which we're very excited about. And then just a quick update on the commercial shoot as well. So for our May PR report, our coverage this month came mostly from MSN, actually running 2 articles that you can see mentioned here. So underrated U.S. state capitals, that should be on your must-visit list. And the second was the top attraction in every U.S. capital. So this widely contributed to the audience reach for this month, and that we continue to receive each month. So we had four stories total, but one of the major results that you'll see that bleeds into June will be from our FAM that we hosted, which was with Andrew Yee. He's with Cyclocross Magazine. He's actually the editor of that magazine, and he participated in Set This Pay Dirt and stayed at the Holiday Inn. And I saw at least 3 to 4 articles come across that got some pretty wide reach from him after the Setna race. And so from here, we will move on to our media plans that we have for fiscal year 23. So for the first one, starting with our arts and culture plan, you'll see that this total $20,000 spend will be focusing on promoting our arts and culture events mostly, and especially helping to launch the Mark Twain Days Festival in April of 2023. So that advertising for the festival will be focusing on utilizing our YouTube or TrueView video advertising leading up to the event. Plus, we'll be reserving some for print opportunities and other media buys for the event. Obviously, we're pretty ways away from there, so we still have some planning to do and some strategy for the event, but we wanted to give a general idea of where we'll be spending that money and when. And then we also have a budget for airport advertising for when the Carson City art exhibit launches in the airport in 2023 as well, which we hope can be near the exhibit. And overall, we always like to have a consistent budget for social media to be always on, promoting at least one arts and culture related attraction or event monthly. So we do that mostly through our social media advertising. So overall, we have a pretty good idea of where we're going to be spending this budget for this year, but we always left a little room for flexibility in case new opportunities arise for arts and culture. Any questions on the arts and culture media plan?
Yeah, Lydia, I just have one quick question.
Sure.
In the airport, in the Reno airport, there's a video board loop running of Reno Mayor Hillary Sheevy just welcoming people to Reno. And I think back to maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and that same video was playing, but they also had the Sparks mayor on at the time, and I don't remember if it was more than that. And I'm wondering if there's a potential for whether it be us as the CTA or the city maybe getting together with the airport authority and pitching that again, maybe with a rotating message between Reno, Sparks, Carson City, even Tahoe or Incline Village. I mean, it would be kind of nice to have everyone welcoming people, because the airport, while it serves the Reno Tahoe market, is the gateway to this whole region. And so I just bring that up because you mentioned the airport advertising, and I clicked on that Hillary Sheevy welcoming message. So it may be one of those things where it's a swing and a miss, but sure seems like it's worth trying to convince them that it'd be wonderful if they could kind of share the wealth. I mean, it's a little 15-second, I'm sure you've seen it, message, basically.
I remember that well, because it plays all the time. And so our goal is to definitely be, we actually have budget for airport advertising in the arts and culture budget, and you'll see in our next media plan that it's also in the domestic advertising budget. So we're hoping, and Deborah, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're planning on having this exhibit be geared towards Stewart Indian School. And so we're hoping to help promote the school in that area that's near the exhibit. And then also with our plans, we were hoping to do either the baggage claim video or some of those other videos closer to that. So David and I are actually going to tour the airport and go through all the options, hopefully next month, and then put together a strategy. But I love that idea of maybe, Dave, we could look into doing a grant in December with RTP and see if there's something that we could put together for the region. It really, I think, is an excellent idea.
I don't think they're charging the Reno mayor to do it. And I could be wrong, but I guess that's what I would say, is to look into it. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's a chargeable thing. It seems like, they're a governmental entity, and we collectively, our people are their customers, so it benefits them as well as us. So I was looking at not buying the time, but and maybe they don't do that. Maybe I'm living in a fantasy world.
I wouldn't say that. I will check into that. As far as I know, all the spots there are paid for, and I could be wrong too. I'm not sure if the RSCBA paid for that spot or not to do it with the mayor, but I will inquire. Absolutely.
Yeah, Stacy, we'll definitely look into that, because we had not thought about that when we engaged with the new lady who does all the, the dirt trans and the video spots above the baggage claim, because we spoke with her a few months ago about wanting to run our new creative, right, our video in that loop that you see above the baggage carousels.
Right,
right. But I wasn't thinking about sort of like not a PSA, but it's almost like you said, a welcoming message.
Like a welcome.
Yeah. So
it really is. I mean, that's exactly what it is. It's welcoming people to Reno, and I get that the airport is physically in Reno. I mean, I get that, but
sure.
but really, it is, it's the gateway to the whole region, and I don't know why they wouldn't put together some kind of a campaign to sort of expand on that, because it opens up the whole market, not only to each of our locations, but also to the airport. And the people there who realize that, heck, it's not just Reno that I'm flying into. It's it's Sparks and it's,
Yeah.
it's, Lake Tahoe and it's Carson City and it's Virginia City and
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. So.
Oh, I think it's a great suggestion. And when we meet with them to do the walkthrough of all the different areas that you can run different types of ads in the airport, we will definitely bring that up next month, because I think it'd be pretty cool if we had a message from the mayor and then it could be followed by our new spot, right, as well. It could almost
Right.
be an introduction. So I think
Yeah,
that's great.
absolutely.
Yeah, and then Lydia, I was just going to say, and I don't know if it's being blocked in the room, but my screen, it's all gray on the top and the side.
It's like that
So I
here
don't know if
too.
oh, okay. They can't, so we can't see the upper part and the upper right-hand part. It's like a little square gray box. So I just wanted you to know
Oh,
that.
did it go away?
It's better,
Yes.
but it didn't go away.
Yeah,
Well, that
But
is interesting.
we can see the numbers now. I just wanted to make sure that
Wherever you're clicking, it's making it appear. There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
More of it
All
is
right. Okay.
gone.
Okay. All right. Understood. Thank you for telling me that. That was all of the video. I just had to minimize. So perfect. Okay. Well, any other questions on the arts and culture? Thank you for that suggestion, Stacey. I think that's a great idea. We'll definitely look into that. All right. Well, then I will move on to our full budget for the fiscal year 23 media plan for all things outside arts and culture. So this year we have a $211,000 budget, and we're staying true to many things we've done in the past, but we're also trying a few new things and finally getting to some projects that we looked into in 2019. So we have some avenues of the budget that are always on, like our search advertising, our display and retargeting ads, in our social media advertising. And we dedicate a large portion of our budget to those buckets to drive the year-round visitation. But mediums like search and display allow us to be found online for those searching for travel and to be on top of search results for those interested in Carson City and looking for things to do in Carson City. It allows us to control the narrative for what people are looking for and what's to do in Carson City, and allows us to be the ultimate resource. So that's why we invest so much into search each month, to make sure that people get the right information about Carson City. And then our print advertising, under our yellow bucket there, is focusing on the Adventure Sports Journal, which will be promoting mountain biking and mountain biking events. The Civil Air Patrol magazine we've been contributing to for a very long time, far before I ever even started. And so it's a very small buy, but something that we contribute to every year to help support the community and local organization. And then our billboard advertising will continue and be kind of the star representation of our new campaign, along with the airport advertising as well, which we just spoke about. And we did leave a small bucket for any opportunities that arise. And then lastly, we have Nevada Golf Magazine. So they have been a wonderful partner for us, offering not only a full page ad that this $3,600 gets us in the magazine, but it also gets us some digital advertising and 2 full page ads in the Vegas Golf and Oregon Golfing Magazine, in which they partner with too. So we actually get 3 full page ads for that price. And they've been a great partner, and we've gotten some great feedback. And it actually not only has our ad, but features all 3 of our golf courses in a full page spread for all of them. So we think that's for that buy, we really will continue to do that to help support our golf partners. And lastly, you're going to see our co-ops for Expedia and hotel beds, which we received our grants for this year, which we're very excited about. And then we just have some other sponsorship opportunities that help us in our diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so that's Pride Journeys. And then we'll also be a small sponsor in the Northern Nevada Pride Festival in Reno. That happens July 23rd. And so instead of us walking in the parade, and we'll have our logos on the advertising, but we're actually reached out to Gina at the BAC, and she will have one of the theater groups who's doing a play that's a very inclusive play, actually walk and help promote that play in the parade in July. So if all that all goes as planned, that will be happening July 23rd. And then we left a couple of other extra budget in there for other print opportunities, which always come up throughout the year if we see fit. And then, of course, we have our influencer and travel writer budget there at the bottom to round out that $211,000. So any questions on that media plan?
Could you Could you give me a 20-second explanation of how what Glocally is or how it works?
Sure, absolutely. So Glocally is actually a company that helps find influencers and does all the contract negotiations and payments for them. So it makes our life significantly easier. So Laura Visconti was doing this for us before, but since she had a kid and their business expanded, she couldn't take on that load anymore. And so Glocally has worked with KPS3 before, and they are helping us plan our current FAM. So what they do is they source all the influencers and look for them and contract them and tell them to go. And I help plan the itinerary and show them a great time in Carson City. And we don't have to deal with the payment of all the individual influencers. So they're really just there to support and make sure that we're getting the right people to Carson City that fit our FAM tour. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, sure. Any other questions? All right. All right. Well, then moving on to what our creative looks like. Maybe we're not frozen here. There we go. All right. So our new campaign print ads. So here's what an example of a billboard will look like. This isn't necessarily the super final one, but just wanted to give you an idea of what some of that is going to look like and what some of those taglines are that will dive into some of that nostalgia. Our display ads here will show you kind of all 4 versions that we're looking at. So a sequel to your good old days, remember when, they will too, tried and true memory makers, flashback, and go forward. And then obviously with that call to action on plan your trip to Carson City. And then here is our print ads. So our half page ad is on the left. We usually do that in the Adventure Sports Journal. Then we have a full page ad and then kind of a small square ad as well. And the copy is really powerful. So I'd like to read that to you just in case it's too small for you to see. On the left where it says pick up where you left off, that copy reads, memories are measured in smiles, road trip snacks, and skin knee souvenirs. The kind of road trip that requires a bike rack, letting the kids get soaked in mountain rivers, and saying yes to staying up late to roast marshmallows. The good old days are happening now. Plan your next trip at visitcarsoncity.com. And then our tried and true memory makers in the middle reads, measure memories with love, not likes. The kind of road trip destination that makes you want to roll the windows all the way down and keep a pair of hiking boots in the back seat for when adventure calls. Don't just remember the good old days, live them. Find your next memorable trip at visitcarsoncity.com. And then the one on the right, it reads the same copy as the one on the left. And then secondly, and lastly, for the print, we have a print and digital. We have our social ads. These are carousel ads. So when you're scrolling through, those images will continue to connect together to kind of encourage you to keep scrolling and read our information. And this is our second look of that. That call to action of you have to be here, recreate your favorite memories, the good old days are now. So any questions on the print at all before I move to the commercial? All right. So lastly, our last piece here for the campaign is finishing up the commercial. So I've had the opportunity to go to a couple of the filming locations. We're doing this a little differently where it's been multiple days and multiple locations for shorter periods of time. Spencer and the Trespasser Productions team have an incredible vision for what we put together over the last year and have some serious enthusiasm for the project. So it's been really great getting to kind of see them work their magic. But Zach has really been the pin kind of holding all the moving parts together, to be honest. He's done some incredible work in helping bridge our vision and Spencer's vision together and making sure that what I think will be some great TV magic. So that will represent Carson City in a way that I don't think we've ever done before. And I'm really excited about this project. We have a few more locations to shoot. One of them is going to be the V&T. And let me tell you it seems like the production team world is very small, and the word has gotten out that we are filming the train, and many people are very, very excited about it. And so I think there's just going to be some really great moments that we're going to capture that will really nail the nostalgia pin down. And so we're very excited. The last shoot will be the last weekend in June, or last week of June, and then we hope by this next meeting that we'll have a final commercial for you to see. And then once that happens, we will implement that in this fiscal year 23 plan that we just went over, and have some really great results from what has been a long time coming. So that's it. If there's any questions I can answer, I'm happy to do so.
Any questions for Lydia? I'll just say, great. It's been a great team effort here on this whole entire shoot, and with KPS3. I mean, they've done a great job bringing this nostalgia campaign to life. And now with the Trespasser team and Lydia and Zach, I'm very much looking forward to these different elements of the overall commercial and bringing this all together for the board next month. I think that it's going to be a really cool, cohesive looking video that we're going to produce, and we'll be able to cut 10s and 15s and 30s and all that good stuff for the different mediums and channels. So it's pretty cool. Exciting to kind of bring Carson City to life. I think in a little bit of a different way, than Carson City has maybe been promoted in the past. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this all come together over the next few weeks. So great. Well, thank you, Lydia. Appreciate it. With that, we'll go ahead and move on to 11F, future agenda items. Does anybody from the board have anything they'd like to be brought forward for next month's meeting? Okay. Seeing nothing, we will go ahead and move on to 11G. With that, our next meeting is Monday, July 11th at 4 p.m. And with that, Chair, I will turn it back over to you.
Thanks, David. Good report by everybody. Looking forward to the video next board meeting. With that, I'll ask for item 12, board comments or announcements or requests for information. Board Member Rader.
Hi, Bobby Rader for the record. I just wanted to invite everyone this weekend to Stewart Indian School. We'll have the grand opening for the museum Saturday, June 18th from 10 to 11:30 a.m. We'll have a small reception afterwards, and then the powwow, the Stewart Father's Day powwow, will be in the afternoon from 12 to 6 p.m. The museum will also be open all those hours. And then the Stewart Father's Day powwow is also from 11 to 5 on Sunday, June 19th. So I hope that you'll all come out and check out the powwow. It's really a fun event.
Thank you. Any other requests for information or comments? None. We'll move on to item 13. I don't see any public comment. So we'll move on to our last item, 14, possible action to adjourn.
Move to adjourn. Second.
We're adjourned.
Thank you.